Motherfuckers think I'm out here getting money. I went back to D.C. In other news, motherfuckers think I'm out here in L.A. caking up. I'm like, oh, you went to L.A.? Oh, I know you getting some money out there. Getting money doing what? Which I prefer people think I got money than be broke, but then also...
Sure. You always want to... Well, I mean, it's a good stereotype.
It's a good... That's the good stereotype.
It's a really good stereotype.
Do you want to help a broke person? Do you want to help somebody who already doing well? You want people who got motion. You want to work... Winners want to work with other winners, or people who want to win want to work with people perceived winners.
Which I guess would also apply to exes.
Shorty, you the no filter. IG pic, no filter. You could get the no filter. I'ma tell her how it is. No filter. Shorty, you the no filter. IG pic, no filter.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hip Politics Podcast. We're in a new season. We're in new digs, in a new studio. This is that $1 billion studio stuff. This is that $1 billion studio. If the mics sound crispier, it's because they are. If the video looks cleaner, it's because it is. If you're wondering, like, Cameron, sometimes I used to hear echo and background on the first 4 seasons of the podcast. Now it just sounds like, Crispy McNispy. And that's because we are in the USC, University of Southern California, Iveen and Young Academy, a.k.a. Jimmy Iveen and Dr. Dre Young's studio here at USC, all the way from the West Coast, the left coast. I'm not ready to say the best coast.
You should.
I shouldn't. But I'm here with another fellow, one of my Howard brothers, who took the venture out west. You know, when they say go west, young man, go west. Yeah. He went ahead and did that. Brought his queen with him, brought his comedy with him, brought his pen with him, brought his wit with him. This is kind of a follow-up to, like I said, to the Digital Democracy series that we did here at Hip Politics at USC. I have the very funny, the very smart, the very timely, the very bison. I have the one and only Mr. Kasaun Wilson. Welcome to the Hip Politics Podcast.
Thank you.
Since we're in here, I should have like a laugh.
Nah, it's fine. It's just me, you, and a guy who always keeps finding his way in here.
Y'all brothers good. You good? What y'all need?
Oh, I don't know how to be there.
You are here. As soon as I did have a need,
It's 100%.
we had a guy come in like 2 times, and he was already. I was like, didn't we book this? But anyways,
He's just like a white bro man
for the fifth slough.
from Fifth Flow.
For the fifth slough.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. This is a wonderful podcast. I've watched so many episodes, enjoyed so many episodes.
You learn like shit.
For real. This is the first time I found out that Trick Daddy almost made it into the White House.
Okay.
My dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I know that you're probably sheer months away from becoming a senator or starting your journey to becoming the next Clarence Avant. So this is
But Clarence, now that I might do.
100%.
But if you think I'm about to be running, that was a younger me. I'd have lived a little too long.
Like
I'd lived. No. Oh yeah, I sworn it off. I'd had to get so much money that I can erase the internet.
Okay.
I gotta get if I'm being honest around politics, I mean, my father is a United Methodist, he now just retired, but a bishop, pastor, my own community leader. So I've, as the oldest, I've always grown up.
This sounds like a campaign speech, by the way. But this sounds like
it. No, I say that to say as the person who's grown up in front of the church, in front of people, in front of leading, even at Howard and so forth. There's a lot of my personality I've adapted to, quote unquote, what we call like being the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of, I would say how I work and move is like that. But while I wanted to serve in that way, I think being around it so long and understanding like the rigors of what comes with it, what comes with fame, dealing with dealing with high profile folks, like mostly politicians, but dealing with actors, entertainers, rappers, entertainers, and you start to see that, or even just high profile, like, yo, I might be on TV or major host, or I'm running a major organization, a national organization. All that comes with that. It's I value dipping in and out. Like, I like being the man when I need to be the man, but I way more like just moving around at my own speed. I low key pull up everywhere by myself.
Okay.
But then it's like, because I know I'm gonna know people there.
Yeah. It's
just that the politicians in this day and age of transparency, social media, cancellation, it's just everything is a microphone, everything is a soundbite. You could thrive in it, but it also is like, that's not the world I want to live in, let alone if I'm married, have children, the exposure there. I find it way more impactful, people who have the right head on their shoulders, what I do think I've seen, having especially worked with members of Congress, but worked with so many candidates and seen so many leaders from that realm. You can kind of identify the people who have that, both the good heart, the good focus, who are signing up to be that and be leaders. I'd much rather support. I think there's a much longer career in supporting them, and continuing to position the right people, raise money for them, help them get elected, help whatever program they're trying to get, help legislation, help. I can move in and out, because there's definitely coming a time where I feel like just sitting down for 2 years and doing nothing.
Fair.
And I feel like momentum of campaigning and candidates, like once you in it, you got to keep rolling.
Yeah.
And you don't make no money.
Fair.
So you probably, I'm Clarence Avon.
Yeah.
I could see me trying to be one of those, but.
Yeah. I could see you being the next Black Godfather.
Black political godfather. I'm trying. I just got to get the money. I got to get somebody a big deal. If I get the next person elected president.
Yeah.
Anyways, but this ain't about me. This is about you.
Okay.
Mr. Comedy Writer. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm feeling good. This is, it's been a great time. It's been a busy time. Been on the road a lot. But it's good to be back in LA. It's great to be here with you.
All right. Well, let's go there, because this is what I like to call an evergreen podcast. We might have recorded it yesterday, might have recorded it last month when you hear this.
Touche.
But the road, comedians, even more than I would say like music artists, get a unique opportunity to interact with all of America, because you go on the road, you go on some version of a tour. Musicians have a different kind of thing they do on stage. They have a different setup. Sometimes they're not in cities as long. They don't have necessarily crowd interaction other than either adulation, listening, maybe the after party here and there. Depending on the size, the bigger the act, I would say, the more detached they are from a city.
Yeah.
As opposed to comedians, even big ones. Because I'm, you know me, I'm a super comedian fan, like super big comedy fan. There's some of my favorite comedians. I remember I was seeing Tony Rock in DC. It was at Buffalo Billiards or whatever down in DuPont Circle.
Okay.
He was just playing pool. Yeah. I'm like, you Tony Rock, dude. Like, you, this is only a few years ago. Like, you huge. Like, forget Chris Rock's brother. You your own, man. All the things you've done, Showtime at Apollo, stand-ups, all this stuff, and you just chilling. You in there with one or two of your peoples, you talking to other folks. It's like you super accessible and you here all weekend. So like when you're on the road, you're usually in places more than one night, especially once you get past the open mic stage, or even if you go to open mic, you might hit a city and do a bunch of open mics. So you're talking to people, you're having to talk to the venues, intimate crowds. You go eat, you go drink, you talk to people, like all of that. I feel like my boy Damian Lemon, he always talks about, he just like, I need a Sherpa. I'd love to find a Sherpa in every city, but he does the walkarounds, because you got to kill half a day before you actually have a show at night. So it's like you don't want to sleep all day, and maybe you do some writing, but you get to explore. So you get to actually, all that setup is to say, comedians have a different interaction, a different view of America, probably more than anyone else in entertainment because of the connection you have to so many. And comedy is all over. Like certain acts, once you get a certain, I can't even go to Randomville, South Dakota. If there's a comedy club that's willing to pay or get close to your fee,
Facts.
or you on tour or something, you're gonna be in nowhere. You're gonna be in some small town, South Dakota, just like you would be in New York City or LA.
Absolutely.
And still got to spend the same amount of time there. So the road in this time, I'm not calling it Trump America. I'm not giving that. But in this whiplash, white lash, whatever you want to call it, America. What are your observations of how the pulse of America right now?
I think there are two different discourses going on, which is like so funny to me. I think there are so many conversations about what's happening in comedy, and then there are actually what's actually going on the ground. Everywhere I go, people are like, is it weird? How does it feel? How does it feel to talk about politics in this climate? And I'm like, it feels fine. I think people are like so scared for what's going on. But I guess I think of it a little differently. Number one, I'm like, all right, in 2025, is it hard to tell jokes with the political climate? It's like, maybe, but was it easy to tell jokes in the 60s?
Sure.
If you had to do an hour set in the South
in the 60s, that probably is more challenging.
You know what I'm saying? Do you want to go? Might somebody go on TikTok, or may I get ratioed? Sure, but I'm sure the Klan won't show up at my hotel after the show. That's a whole different pressure. Were the 80s, was the 80s easy to tell during the Reagan years? The 2010s, it's like
quiet as kept. I don't know. You see some of these Trump executive orders. This fool, it might be hard to keep.
I mean, sure.
What if he put together I think we're not that far away from him. Who the comedians that Jimmy Kimmel is in an executive order. He legitimately, I don't know if you track this. He put an executive order against specific law firms.
Yeah.
And every law firm had something to do with either his 2016. Here's the Robert Mueller report, January 6th, or election denial. He literally put specific law firms in, basically cut out funding and any of their clients. They cut out government contracting, stuff he's getting nice with his executive orders about I could knock you out. So I do think if you want to talk politics, talk everybody below Trump. Because if you get too big.
The thing is, people say it's hard to talk about him. But the truth of the matter is, it's so unfortunate to say this. He's so funny.
That's not unfortunate. He is.
He is. They asked him about the economy, not too long ago. And he was like, good parts of mine, bad parts of Biden's. Who says that? Do you understand how crazy that is? That's like producing an album and hearing the songs you like. That was only me.
That's only me. That was the label.
Yeah. Hey, Kanye had something to do with the other song.
No, when he was like, "Don't you need to uphold the Constitution?" I don't know. Do I? I was like, dude.
To come out and discuss the ins and outs of tariffs, and in the same day be like, "I didn't find Saturday Night Live funny today." It's come on, man. And I think. I think a lot of people assume that as a comedian, I'm going to New York and DC or California or very liberal spots. But like you said, you go where, being a comedian, you are an independent contractor. From the time I get off the stage, I'm unemployed until I get back on stage again. If I don't get booked, I'm not working. So I'm going to... A lot of people are like, what is it like performing in a red state? It's the truth of the matter is, are there times where it's uncomfortable, or sometimes a Biden joke works a little too well, or a Kamala joke works a little too well? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's I don't subscribe to what I call podcast comedy,
What's podcast comedy?
Podcast comedy is like where it's not focused on being funny anymore. It's focused on trying to make a point or just trying to like be outlandish. Like I'm asserting my First Amendment rights. It's like I did a show in I'll give you an example. I did a show in a weekend in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the Comedy Cage.
Mm-hmm.
And after every single show, I did 5 shows. After every single show, I ended up having like a 2-hour conversation with people who were like, I disagree with everything you said, but it was funny. And it's like, that's comedy. Like we don't have to, it's not a crowd full of people who all agree with my politics or who all agree. But like I might do a joke about like, you know, back in the day, I might have done a joke about defunding the police. And it's like, all right, even if you don't agree with it, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a good time. It's like, people forgot that comedy is about having a good time. And it's like,
you think people forgot that? I think with the Bill Burrs, the Chris Rocks of the world, the Bill Maher's, like obviously the Dave Chappelle's and where they are. When you say podcast humor, I think I'm not a comedian, obviously, so I'm curious if like it is you are trying to have a point and then make the point funny, or you're saying podcast humor is like I'm just trying to make a point, and because of who I am, maybe it's funny, maybe it's not, as opposed to, do you not start with, oh, this, sometimes a joke, I'm assuming a joke is just, this is something that's funny, and then I shape it into a point of view, or maybe I just leave it as is, or is there not things you're like, I have this point of view, where's the funny in it, or where's the funny around it, and create a joke too? But you starting with the point of view?
Yeah. So I'll say 2 things to that. Number one, I think the difference between you and most other people is that you actually are a fan of comedy. So you actually watch comedy. I think one of the issues with people like assessing the political climate and comedy is that they'll watch one Dave Chappelle special and be like, where's comedy gone? And it's like,
there's like a comedy special every week.
That's my point.
I watch the bad stuff on Netflix too sometimes. So get through it. But like, there's some folks on there, I'm like, I know this ain't.
I'm gonna put you on this, continue watching, and I'm gonna let you sit there for a while. But it's like, I wish more people were like you, where you're like, you actually go to the clubs and you actually watch comics and not the same 10 people. And mind you, like I love a lot of the same 10 people, whoever they may be. A lot of the names you named, The Rocks and Chappelle's and Wanda Sykes and all these people. But I think a lot of times we are having like these large discourses, these large conversations about the state of comedy. And these people aren't in the clubs every night. They're not discovering new people with new perspectives and new point of views. They're not discovering like the me's and the Jay Jordans and the Paris Sachets and the Rollo Boykins and the people who are actually like killing it, but like have fresh perspectives. It's like, all right, if you watch one Netflix special of the biggest comedian in the world, and then this is what you base, like, are we being too woke nowadays? It's like, but I'm watching great, amazing comedy every single night, and it feels like you could tell by the way people are talking that they're not watching it. So I'll say that one. Mm-hmm. 2, I'll say, yeah. I mean, I think in the same way you listen to a great musician or you listen to a great rapper, if you listen to what they say and break it down, like the same way, I mean, we can sit here and have a conversation about Sinners all day long, about what are all the messages in Sinners and what did it mean, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you want to like create great art. And I think one of the issues, one of the actual realistic issues that I think people have with comedy that I actually kind of do agree with is the people who are just like trying to make a point with what they can say. And it's not like people want to have a good time. I think people still do want to have a good time. I think people want to laugh.
Has that shifted? When what is a good time anymore? Because when please don't get canceled. I went and watched Eddie Murphy Raw maybe about a couple months ago. No, I was out here.
No chance. In 2025, not a chance.
That choice still. American woman now, and that's right. I mean, that's like probably one of the safer ones, and that's only because it's about Africans. I hate that. That's us hating ourselves. But no, I'm just kidding. But I watched that, and I know like the gay, like the woo woo, all that and stuff. I was like, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that's funny anymore. But as a whole, I'm like, dude, this joint's still hilarious. It doesn't conceptually, it doesn't sit well with where we are and where we've gone as a society. But to the point I'm bringing up using that is that what is even considered the good time to be had in comedy now? Because to me, that is a groundbreaking. I'll use that. That was his second special, groundbreaking special. Young guy, so he's not even nowhere near as mature as he's going to be as a person, an adult. So I don't hold Eddie's there, maybe 23, 4? Because his first one, he was 21.
He's 26.
He's 26. Yeah. All right, 26-year-old, yes, you are grown, but you're not super duper mature and all this other stuff. But all that to say is that groundbreaking special. No, it was like the number one up until Kevin Hart broke the record like 20, 30 years later. It was groundbreaking. It was like the number one special in like theaters. So it's huge. So it's not like some niche crowd likes like, hey, this is universally considered as hilarious, funny, no cancellation, no anything. The times. So do we all need to cancel ourselves? Do we all like have to collectively say that's no longer a good time? So to me, that's what I'm more worried about is like, what is the funny? Where is the good time? Like, can certain people just like certain kind of comedy and let that live? That doesn't mean I hate this person, hate that person, or hate this group, hate that group.
Well, first of all, let me just say hot take. I think Delirious is easily better.
That's not a hot take. I actually believe Delirious is right. I'm literally king. I just saw Raw. Then I didn't go just see Delirious.
Some people are really serious about Raw. I think
they're both good, but Delirious is actually better. Yeah.
Well,
he thought he had a hot take.
I thought it was. I'm gonna get one hot take here before we leave. I'm gonna get one that's gonna throw the whole podcast up. I mean, what is even having a good time? Like, have you seen Earthquake special?
The Netflix joint?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen him live a few times too. I feel like he does. I fuck with Earthquake, but I hear 20 to 40% of the same joke every time I seen him.
Really? Okay. All right.
Or maybe not the same joke. He has the same kind of cadence thing with like. Sure. And then he just inserts a new joke into the thing he does.
Sure.
Am I saying that right? You know what I
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I think one of the it's weird. Honestly, comedy isn't a weird place, but it's not because of good comedians. It's just like everything surrounding it. That's like kind of hitting the nerve because one, like it's very strange. It's happened to me a bunch this year where people would come and be like, yo, this is my first time at a live comedy show. And I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, I'm in my 30s. I'm like, you 30 and never been to a comedy show? Like, what made you come out? And they're like, oh, I saw it on TikTok. And I'm like, TikTok is making 30-year-olds come to their first comedy show? And then here's the crazy part. And a lot of those people will be like, this is not what I expected. And I'm like, what'd they expect? And they're like, but you didn't talk to the crowd. You didn't talk to the crowd much. Like you didn't, we thought you was going to like mess with us. And I'm like,
I think they see that crowd work. Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, nah, I wrote stuff to say. Now I'm legit. I might talk to the crowd. We might have a little fun. But like at the end of the day, like when I touch down in your city, I came with something to say already. And I think that's like a strange thing of like when you ask like what's a good time, I think the audiences don't know. I think we all used to know. Like you go to see a comic and similar to what you said, like I think comedy is such a different genre than all the other ones. Like I love Kendrick. Kendrick is like selling out stadiums. I love Beyonce. She's selling out stadiums. But like the most intrigue you have at their shows is whether they're going to do songs from old albums. When you go see a comedian, if you heard something like just like you said, if you hear something you heard before, you're like, oh, I heard that before. Like nobody asked Kendrick ever to be like, oh, you doing Not Like Us? I heard that one before. Do a new one. So it's like everything that we're doing is like fresh and new and has to be original and has to go out. But I think great comics are doing that all the time. I think it's like very, very strange that TikTok has not only like affected politics, Instagram has not only affected politics, but I think it's like kind of shaped what comedy audiences expect when they come and see it live. It's been quite strange.
I guess maybe one of my questions, and I wanted to ask you this when you were in my class, was one of the questions, like, is that the only way you've seen how like social media has changed how you connect with your audience?
No. I think social media has changed a lot. It really has. Like, I mean, we've had this conversation offline about how it's like you can start comedy tomorrow, and if you get the game right, you're selling out theaters. Like there are comics who I know have been doing comedy for like 20, 30 years. I mean, like killers on the stage, and they're like hosting for people. They're doing it for like 6 months. And that's not even like a joke. It's just because like
no, it's about seats. It's about selling tickets.
You're selling tickets, but it's like somebody who was like, I'm like, come on, man. Like you should. I would expect this person from when I started looking at this person's been a killer my entire career. I would expect you to be like have a Netflix special or Hulu special or any of those things. Don't Tell a Big Don't Tell special or anything like that. But it's like, hey, if you go on TikTok, you got 10 million followers. It's like you're selling out 6 shows. You on tour and you open it up for these people. So I think it's even like affected the comedy game. It's affected who's headlining, and I think kind of similar to politics. I think in some ways they're very similar to the music industry. I think it's affected your ability to like being a great comic is as important as building a great following in some ways. And I mean, it's just something you got to fix. It's like, I guess when technology hit, like comics were like, I don't have to get on social media. And it's like, all right, well, the comic, like Kevin Hart, for instance. Kevin Hart mastered social media very early on.
Yeah. He talks about it all the time. He used to send out like paper review cards and to email list, and once he had a social media, he went and hit everything up on social media when it wasn't cool. It's all those first adapters when it wasn't cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was doing videos on 50 Tyson. Do you remember 50 Tyson?
Wow. Yes, I do.
You know, like that's
50 Tyson was funny.
50 Tyson was a time. Like 50 Tyson, Ice JJ Fish. Scarlett Takes a Tumble. Like that was like,
I hope they made some money. Because people exploited the shit out of Ice JJ Fish and 50 Tyson.
YouTube and social media like kind of built their platforms like on these people. Like Ice JJ Fish, like he was a star. And this is before it's like, oh, you can have 2 million followers.
Oh yeah, he had millions of people, and he probably didn't capitalize on any
at all. Or what's my man? Hide your kids, hide your wife. Like this was a time. This was a time before we learned how to monetize. But people like Kevin Hart and Dane Cook, like they figured it out really early on, and I think this is like the next evolution of that. And I think it's harder because I think there are great comedy voices, great comedians who may not get the spotlight they deserve, but they got to figure out an algorithm before the public can know about them.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithms are wild. Do you see algorithms and social media kind of, I guess, either suppressing, specifically like, or messing with political humor?
Oh yeah. All right. Here we go. This is where I try not to get myself killed. Political humor, yeah. I think it's like big podcast culture. And when I say podcast comedy, I'm not talking down on. I love podcasts. We are
on a podcast.
Yeah. But I just mean, I want to be clear when I say I do believe the first job of a comedian is to make people. if you want to teach, if you want to be serious, if you want to vent, you could do all of those things. But I think you just can't ever forget our job is to make people laugh. And I don't think that just because people disagree with you politically that you can't make them laugh. I do not agree with that. I see it every day. So I just want to say that for the record. But yeah, I think podcasts changed everything because one is straight to consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's talk about comedy and then we'll talk about politics. I was having this conversation not too long ago, and it's harder for the public to understand it if you don't look for it. But back in the day, there were so many, and let's just talk about Black people. There were so many opportunities for you to discover new Black talent that just don't exist anymore. Like, there's no Comic View, there's no Def Jam, there's no Def Comedy Jam. Like, there's no Netflix. Netflix doesn't do like 15, like Comedy Central. Like, back in the day,
The little 15-minute joint.
you know what I'm saying? Like, where do you see Bernie Mac, I Ain't Scared of You? It's a 10-minute set. All right. I'm from Jersey, you know. Okay.
We are in a school, brother.
I understand. But, you know, it's like the Jersey part of me.
He's like, that looks suspicious.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyways.
You don't have getting an hour special on a huge major platform like Max or Hulu or Netflix. All of those things are amazing. But then we look at some of the biggest sets that introduced us to some of the most amazing comedians, and they don't exist anymore. So the algorithm has become so much bigger in comedy because where else do I go where I can put out something to introduce myself to people without having to be on to the point where I'm giving you a full piece of content? Like, we would have had to wait for original Kings of Comedy to see Bernie Mac. We would have had to wait until a Netflix special to see Chris Tucker. I'm coming, mama. I'm trying. Like, that special, that set is iconic. Like, some more iconic sets. Like, these people had iconic sets on Def Jam. Comic View. It's like when you learn about Bruce Bruce, you learn about like D.L. Hughley, like you learn about all these amazing comics, and you don't have that anymore. And now, so nowadays, he's like kind of learning the algorithm and gaining a following online is kind of the game playing. I think there are people who still work around it and figure it out, but where are the platforms that are showcasing people who aren't on, but like these are voices you need to know. Like, if you gave them a chance, you would get to know them. Like, it doesn't.
So I want to, you know, I'm in marketing communications. I have a probably very deep. I think about this often.
Okay.
In a few different ways. I'm gonna concise and make this a little more concise and try to pull on a few threads that attach to what that is. That was at a time where entertainment and I would dare to say anything of class, culture, and of importance went through the full-on gatekeeping model.
Mm-hmm.
I.e., and the gatekeeping model is either one of two things. It is platforms of trust, and because you know you trust a person, you trust a platform, you trust a company, you trust a thing. If something is associated or tapped into that, some of that trust extends to the thing you're showing me, or in those said platforms or in general, there's a gatekeeping. There's a reason why music, it was harder to get signed, and there's fewer artists out there because there's multiple people who are gatekeeping. We fought so much, and I think the nature of the internet, the nature of like decentralization, the quote unquote free market, we've turned that into entertainment to where, hey, I'm going to knock down. It was all a thing. Like, we don't need no gatekeepers and everybody can get in. If you get everybody in, yes, you may find more opportunity for more, but the quality level normally decreases because now it's done two things. Now there are not people who've understood like, hey, this is what people like and so forth. You can say they almost may have too much control. So I'll give you that point. If like a producer, somebody who's like a Lorne Michael, for example, I just watched that Saturday Night Live movie, like the little mockumentary or the little movie about like the first night of Saturday Night Live, which was really, really interesting. I watched it on the plane not too long ago. But when you hear about him, it's like he's the yay or nay for so many careers. If you can get on Saturday Night Live, he held that sway. So he's a major gatekeeper, but he's also a major curator, a tastemaker. Does he get it right all the time? No. There are people who we know, say Kevin Hart. There's so many people who are like, dude, I got passed on by Saturday Night Live, and they've gone on to have super successful careers. So is he perfect? No. And he's probably let people on that you're like, I don't even remember who that person was, and they got through. But he has created, that gatekeeping created a place of trust, a brand of trust. The Saturday Night Live, NBC, what it's on, like this means something. I'm on TV. TV means something. TV is a brand of trust. Like, hey, I'm on the God box. I'm on TV. So there is that, which is because we have now created a system that sought to decentralize monetization, decentralize platform viewing. We have more places on social media, more streaming channels, more all this stuff to say, give people more and let them quote unquote, figure it out. By decentralizing that, we've taken away what does it even mean to be a platform of trust? Is Tubi, is Freevee, is all these different streaming fast channels and stuff. Like now there's millions of those. You can put your special on that. But now it doesn't mean the same thing as HBO. It doesn't mean the same thing as a Comedy Central because the platform has lost trust. And now there are not enough gatekeepers who are also curators and tastemakers who understand, like, is this quality? Same thing with music. Like, there used to be a Berry Gordy or Clive Davis or Jimmy Iovine. Like, it was hard to get signed. And those people who came through the major label systems, you're right, we could be programmed. Like, they may have had disproportionate amount of power, but what they did have is some level of taste trust where it's like, hey, this person is on this major label. I'm going to more than likely give it a shot because the platform has trust, and it had gatekeepers or people who understood what it took to even be at that level. You take it away now, anybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry can come on and like catch a song, catch a vibe, but they've not been developed, and that is why careers are going so much shorter. People are not having longer runs. The attention span is gone. So when you think about, I'm bringing that back to comedy, is that there are a few platforms of trust, but even those have now started to bastardize themselves because, like, Netflix, is no longer considered a platform of trust to me in comedy wise, because it's a big deal. You do actually get more eyeballs, but it's too much shit that's not funny or not universally funny. That it being on Netflix doesn't automatically mean this is it. It means you've gotten somewhere and maybe you clearly have some notoriety in somewhere, because there's people in there all the time like, I've never heard of this person ever. Even black people I've seen a couple pop up. And I was like, dude, who is this lady? But these platforms now, because so many of them, there's not a what's the guy's name? Stan Lathan? There's not a Stan Lathan. There's not a Shaq All-Stars. There's not a Russell Simmons, Def Comedy. There's not either a name who is the curator and gatekeeper, because we wanted to do away with those, or there's not a platform, which is i.e. a channel or something of high trust, because of the nature of what we've done. So to me, you can't do, one, it's not going back, but two, we as the society kind of asked for it. Like, we asked for more variety, and this what comes with it.
But here's the difference with comedy, I think, because the gatekeeping system still exists in the comedy club. When you go to the Improv, you expect to see, like when I go to the store, I go to the Laugh Factory, I still expect to see, unless it's like, hey, this is open mic or new material night or whatever, I still expect a certain level. Like when you step in the Hollywood Improv, it's like, if it's not a good show, you're apart.
You were good. You were good. No, I was kidding. I'm not going to. Anyways. But you were good.
I do appreciate that. But there's an expectation that everybody has vetted this. Like, it's not, the comedy clubs are not roadhouses. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go check this.
But see what you're saying there. It is a comedy club. It is a platform of trust.
Right.
And it is a gatekeeper, but it is not, you almost trying to have it both ways. That does still exist. And there is a certain level I expect, but that is for that small, intimate venue. That is not a widely televised, I have a chance to be exposed to it. I still find new comedians. I've been to Chocolate Sundays now since I've been out here last few months. 3-4 times. What's the whole boy who hosts it? He's Ron G. Hilarious. Brilliant. Mike, I'm like, bruh, I don't know. I don't get why he's not at TV more. I don't get why he's not on. But I get it. He's a perfect host. Like, he done new jokes every time I've seen him, which must be hard. Reacting, all the things. But all the various people I've seen on there, some famous who've been around, most of them I've never heard of. That curation that takes place to even be on that stage on Black Night during Chocolate Sundays is cool. And I know they quote unquote videotape it, and some of it, to me, that's where the new set is. That's where the new exposure is, like vetted, branded names, the Hollywood Improvs, the Laugh Factories. I go see a Laugh Factory set, and some of them do get a couple million views. It's not, I mean, is it gonna long be the days where like there's a singular platform, like back when the first run of Def Comedy Jam happened? We just had fewer channels. And HBO, like, we just had more narrow view. There's a reason why Walter Cronkite's name still hits, because like he was one of 3 people on TV. so it's like, but now there's 1 million people on TV. There's 1 million new comedy sets. And so it's just harder to do that.
But here's my disconnect, though, and I think this is one of the reasons why the algorithm has become such a staple in the culture, and why it's so important for comics to have to navigate all of this themselves, is because, yeah, I do think there is an aspect of one to have it both ways. And the only reason why that is because there's a marriage between the platforms and the comedy clubs who curate it. That was always the system. Like back in the day, I don't think this exists anymore, whatever. But back in the day, if you got into a certain club, that's where agents and managers would come to watch people. And as long as they were curating properly and things were not biased, like the funniest people are on, there's a relationship between the cream rising to the top over here, and then people who need to see you and can put you on coming to these places to see you. I think that has gone away, in the sense that, like, now with the algorithm, we're trying to build followers, but we've somehow like lost the industry that says, like,
no, I get it. That says
we're the people who go to Chocolate Sundays, see these amazing comics, and then they're like, oh, I'm casting a thing. That's the guy.
But that's also not the business model of entertainment anymore. The business model of entertainment is eyeballs. So there's a reason why it's maybe, again, I think through my marketing brain, it's like, oh, that makes sense why they do that. I, as an agent, don't really care who's that funny, because the comedic lead that I need and I'm trying to cast something is not, ideally it should be based on, this is a person who's really good, has talent, and potentially could do something. But where I have lower budgets, higher risk of failure, lower viewership, in order to win in my model and you to add value to this project that I want to either represent and put you in or add value to, I need eyeballs and I need performance, or I need a certainty. So I'm either going to go back to the same well and people who have a name that I can build off of. So I'm going to go get the people who you already know. Or if I'm going to take a risk on someone new, I'd rather go somebody, oh, you got to aggregate 2 million followers, 7 million followers, 800,000 followers. Maybe I'm doing a math equation. If you can get 10 to 20 to 30% of your following to make sure to become regular viewers and streamers, now that's a win. You're a value add to this business piece of content, whether it's a movie or a TV show. So to me, even the agents are no longer incentivized to just find good ass talent. The things they're trying to get, because this is still a business of entertainment, whether it's a movie or a TV show, people need viewers and eyeballs, and they want it to be good. But it's like, hey, I'd rather either take a safe bet of let me go get another. I love this brother because I love what he's in that new dental. That movie. I was saying elsewhere, whatever it is. David Allen Greer. David Allen Greer got hella TV shows that were like 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. He's also really good in it, so I don't want to use it as like they shouldn't get him. But it's easier to bet on him. Was like I know he's famous, and I know he's funny. I'd rather get him than like, oh, let me get a new fresh face who might just be as funny or might even probably be cheaper, unless they come with followers that then I could sell to the studio or sell to the funders of this as like, hey, if this guy can get 40% of his followers to watch us, like we're in a good place.
All right. One, I'll say David Allen Greer he checks all the boxes. So that's a difficult one to use. Like using a legend is like, that's like saying,
I don't know why I just can't. In my mind, I was trying to think of who did they keep going to as a comedian in the Carmichael show jumped in my head, and then this new joint he's in, which is hilarious. Was it not Saint Elsewhere, like the hospital show.
Oh yeah,
it's on Peacock. It's hilarious. Really? It's like the office of a hospital.
I got to check it out.
Hilarious.
All right, but here's two things that I would say in response to that. Number one, it scares me how many legends we would lose if that was always the model. That's one. Number two, I think it's the same issue with the music industry that we're asking people to be viral sensations before we ask them to be good. And I think that is why you have a lot of artists that don't have staying power. And then a lot of underground artists that you're like, hey, like people have these discussions of like, hey, is real R&B dead? It's like, no. People Let Us See just came out with an album not too long, but it's just the popularization, like just talking about it has like completely changed. And then number three, going back to the political comedy thing, I think that is the danger of prioritizing followers over voices, because now if you have a podcast that has the numbers, you are just free to spread more and more misinformation. And no one ever asks if you're credible. Like, there are podcasts that are, and here's the danger, very entertaining. Very entertaining. Like, we're at the point now, and this is what bothers me. This is what keeps me up at night. We're at the point where Stephen A. Smith is a regular on CNN. He's a regular on Fox News. And he just spends all day either talking about LeBron or Bronny, or like lying and saying people are asking him to be president.
You think he's lying?
Of course he's like, who? Let me ask you. Do you know anybody who's ever even discussed the idea of Stephen A. Smith being president?
Not until he discussed it on his podcast.
At all. And like I think that's the issue with the model in every sense. I think they're doing it in comedy. I think they're doing it in music. And I also think it's happening in politics. And then consequently, like happening in political comedy, where you can be a centrist. You can be a right-winger that pretends to be a centrist with questions and be like, I think all sides are evil. I'm just trying to see where we fit here. And then 2 weeks later, they're on stage with Trump and wearing MAGA hats and having a great time and do-si-doing or whatever. But then you're free to be like, I don't know. I heard Kamala's an alien. Like, you just get to say that. And then you have 3 million people being like, see, I'm not voting for her. She's weird. Like, that's what happened. Like, Trump got to paint himself as cool and an everyman with comedy. Like he's putting out memes of him jacked up.
He put out memes of him as the Pope less than 10 days after the real Pope died on the official White House and president's social media.
What are we doing? The Pope just died, and then he just came out and was like, I don't know, maybe I should be Pope. Like, that's a thing he did. And then put out a video, like a picture of him as the Pope. The Pope just died.
He know what he doing. He like, this funny.
Imagine.
And what he's doing, we're feeding right into what he wants. They're going to talk about this one.
Imagine the leader of the Kojic church died, and then Trump came out and was like, I don't know, man. Maybe I should be the bishop of the Kojic church. And then put a picture out. Like that's what comedy has done. That to the point that I don't know if we're capable of separating humor from fact from stupidity. And I don't know if we're able to do it politically, and I don't know if we're able to do it comedically as well.
Do you still want to be a comedian?
I'll do it for the rest of my life. You couldn't pay me enough money to not be a stand-up comedian. I was a theater kid. I studied theater at Howard, for those who don't know. I was a student of the late, great Freeman Jr. If you ever seen Spike Lee's Malcolm X, he was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'll always shout him out. One of the greatest men I've ever known. Hated our guts. He was the one who got me into stand-up. And I always looked at stand-up like we studied like Tennessee Williams and August Wilson and all these like great playwrights. And stand-up for me was always like, oh, I can do theater and write my own script. That's all it was for me. Like, oh, I get to say the things I want to say, and nobody knows that I'm like really saying what I really believe, and I can have fun with it. Like knowing I can make you laugh with something that I know you disagree with against your will makes me happy. So no, I'll be doing stand-up for the rest of my life. Like LeBron can't play forever. Shohei Ohtani can't play forever. I can do this for the rest of my life, and I'll get better at it.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know where to end this conversation, but that sounds like that was like a really fine point. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I want to challenge you to keep going. Keep pushing the envelope. Like I said, center the funny. Keep trying to be funny first. Where can people find you?
Can I say something first?
It's your world, bro.
I just want to say, one, I appreciate what you're doing here. And I appreciate the attempts that you're making to spread what we need against the culture's will. I was looking at, I'm working on a piece right now about stand-up in the 60s. It's like a play about stand-up in the 60s. And then I started like doing research for all these decades, and I looked at the year 1992. And in the year 1992 was Boomerang, White Man Can't Jump, Bebe's Kids, Sister Act, and Malcolm X. And it made me think, if we can get all of that in 1 year, like that's us. Like that's what we need. Like we don't need to decide whether it's this person or that person. Is it this movie or that movie? Is it Sinners or is it this? It's like we need 1992. This is all like, yes, we are Malcolm X, but we are also Bebe's Kids. We are also like Boomerang. We're Juice. Like the idea that Juice, Malcolm X, Bebe's Kids, White Man Can't Jump, and Sister Act is all in the same year. Like that says to me everything that I hope that we are able to do. Like, yeah, we are political and we are comedic. We're funny. We also love hip hop. We love having a good time. Like we love the party. Like the fact that
You know what also was 1992?
What?
I'll give you a hint. What studio we in? The Chronic.
For real?
Yeah.
That's 92? Malcolm X and The Chronic came out in the same year.
No, I mean 1992 was Common brought his first album drop, but it was 92. Nothing but a G thing. I was like, I just quadruple checked, and Today Was a Good Day. Also dropped that year. I mean, that album.
That's a crazy year.
That's a crazy.
That's a beautiful year of black art.
Yeah. I mean, not to date myself, but I definitely remember.
Talk right.
I remember 92. I remember getting the weed, like the Chronic CD.
Yeah.
Was just a big ass weed leaf.
Yeah.
Like my dad, I told you, is a pastor. I told you earlier, is a pastor. So sneaking to find that CD and tape.
Yeah. Good luck.
Like, was hidden under my bed for a while. I was in like middle school or grade school or something. Somehow I found the CD. I had it. But anyways, 92, you're saying basically we have the capacity to show multiple facets of who we are, especially in entertainment and beyond. I would hope we could find years like that. The one thing I think, again, that is different, and I might challenge the fact that we are in Renaissance years like that, but because there's no centralization of like quote unquote mainstream distribution, there's no just a couple movie studio. So if it didn't come out, you just named movies and I named a major label album.
Yeah.
But that's because we didn't have streaming, we didn't have social, we didn't have multiple theaters, we didn't have ways to where great things can still exist and get centralized focused.
Yeah.
I think that's going back to your point about R&B and all those things. I think the centralized focus is hard, and what it takes to actually break through and hold attention. You can break through, stuff goes viral every day.
Yeah.
But to break through and hold attention in this day and age of like hyper gone here this morning, gone this afternoon, like hyper popcorn, ADHD, quick hit viral, 3 and 5 seconds or less. I was just going with a client talking about, I was like, what are your 8 second like videos? They're like, why does it have to be 8 seconds? Like, I was talking to a campaign. I was like, if you want people to see this, it needs to be on 8 second forced YouTube views, and like that's all they're gonna interact with. And their less, because they had like a 2.5 minute like, oh, this is my campaign video. I'm like, no one's gonna watch that. Like, you might get 7,000 views, and you need however many tens of thousands of. I was like, you need a bunch of 8 second quick hitters to hopefully get them to that. But I say all that to say is that I would challenge that maybe years and energy like that exist in terms of the level of, especially if we're talking Black culture stuff, is there.
Yeah.
There's just no longer centralized focus for us to feel it like a Sinners.
Yeah.
Like, it's something still has to be a movie and a big movie. Something still is really tough for an album or a song to break through. Like, we don't even really acknowledge shit else, but not like this last year.
GNX, yeah.
It did that. It GNX only because it came off of Not Like Us.
Yeah.
And so it's just harder to centralize that focus of the culture and our attention to have those moments.
You brought up a point, and please cut this, but now you got me like completely interested.
Then don't say it, man. We recording. If you
No, but I'm so interested because this is kind of a conversation we had at your USC class. But if you were a DNC A&R,
I'm trying. If I was the DNC A&R, Democratic. If I was the Democratic Party's A&R,
yes, which I do believe
they needed an A&R.
That would be my answer. I think the DNC should run like a '90s record label. Like,
hold on, I don't want to step on that. I don't want to step on that. Say that again.
I believe that the Democratic Party should run the party like a '90s R&B label. I think they need a good A&R. I 100% believe that. How would you, in regards to comedy, and maybe like comedy and personality, but like, who would you say are like the stars? Who would you point out and be like, we need to put some push behind this person? Or like, just in a general sense.
Prepare for others. It's a cursing platform.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, it used to be a thing where society, we don't curse. It's like, motherfuckers been cursing since forever. But it wasn't until recently that even became a thing, because it's like, it's not, do you need every other word to be a curse word? No. But it's like, hey, that's, the majority of people are doing that. So I say all those things. I would say Gretchen Whitmer out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
She cooks. Like, she fucks with, who was in BMF, the female rapper? I was about to say Lotto. I'm just blanking on her name. Like, they're really, Gretchen Whitmer is like really cool with, she's out of Detroit. Fine rapper.
Okay, we're learning something here. We're gonna learn your type in a second. Cash Doll?
Cash Doll, yeah. She like they shout each other out. They've worked on like some initiatives. She shouts out on her birthday, social media. Like they've been in events together, like created relationships, stuff like that. So it's like she can tap into that. She can definitely curse. She's a mom. She's like strong. She's had funny. She's personable. I fuck with a Gretchen Whitmer. Westmore's getting there on the comedic, but not really. But I've watched him be funny. I think I watched him be funny way more at like private stuff or small, like in the room thing.
There's a lot of personality.
He does have a lot of personality. But
I asked Jon this, Jon Stewart. I asked Jon this one time. I was like, "Yo,
name drop.
If you had to, we were just talking one day, and I was like, hey, if you had to start a comedy tour with like a politician's comedy tour
with only Democrats,
yeah, Westmore was definitely a feature act. I think Westmore has the juice. I'm just saying.
Oh, interesting. All right, who else did he say? Because I don't know. Everybody else, if I'm being honest, most motherfuckers is trying. Jasmine Crockett.
She trying.
No, but Jasmine Crockett, I know her. Jasmine Crockett she talk like that. Like what you see on TV, she talked like I met Jasmine Crockett when she announced. I met Jasmine Crockett before she ever won. Had dinner, like she works, she comes out of the district I used to work for the previous congresswoman. So I've seen her, if anything, she's been more emboldened to be more of herself.
I love it.
And I'm glad Capitol Hill didn't shut her down, but it maybe encouraged her. So I would say Jasmine Crockett in terms of like comedian, cult of personality, that I've seen really work and be like that. Cedric Richmond, he was funny, but I've gotten to know him personally. So Cedric, what he sounds like he was a former CBC member in New Orleans, so former Congressional Black Caucus chair, New Orleans. He worked in the White House. Was a big Joe Biden supporter, but that's because I know him personally.
Okay.
His persona on the mic is like nowhere near as funny as he is as a person. So I would say him.
Okay.
And so that's a mix too.
It's a nice mix.
It's a nice little mix. I think Pete Buttigieg is not funny, but he reacts to comedy well. I don't know if that.
No, I get it. Like he would be a good SNL host. Like he would do well.
Yeah, he would do well. Like I guarantee he could probably you could put him in a skit. He's not like blowing the skit away, but he's also not gonna fuck the skit up.
He could deliver the line.
He could deliver the line, but he also seems natural. Like the more I've been around him, like he seemed at first not natural, but to me, he's the best communicator we've had.
He's the best. I think he's the best politician in the Democratic Party. I think he's one penis away from being American.
That's the problem. And that is the problem. America ain't ready for that, unfortunately. But interesting. That's interesting. Who would be the comedy tour? What's in a comedy? Who would be the comedy show for the Democrats that would be entertaining and funny? And I think, tell me what that's a host.
A host, a feature, and a headliner.
So it's 3 people. Host.
Yeah.
That means they got to be able to come in and out. Feature, somebody good 15 minutes.
They can do the time, but
They still growing.
Yeah.
And then the headliner kills.
I mean, if we're doing Republican, we know Trump's the headliner. He's going to kill.
Is he?
100%. Trump's the headliner, man.
Who is it? Sarah Palin the feature? You're sure still in?
I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is the host. No.
Vivek Ramaswamy?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Vivek is the feature. Yeah, and then Trump's the headliner. Easy. And Tim Scott is waiting to see if he can get a guest spot. And he never gets
it. He's not funny.
He's not at all.
Oh, you know who's funny? And they don't fuck with your boy? Fucking Mayor Adams of New York. That motherfucker might be the feature, might be the headliner. I just watched his Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz. I was like, oh, this dude he's highly personable. he hilarious. Oh, one of my shorties over here. Like, I was like,
did you see the thing he did in I forgot what that thing he was doing in New York, and he was like, man, he was talking about the train. He was like, man, used to be some $5 on this train. Like, Eric Adams, he's like Michael Scott if he was a real person. He's like the real life Michael Scott. 100%. I could definitely see Eric Adams doing stand up.
no, I see. I got you.
I could definitely see. I think Vivek would be, Vivek is not, he's kind of boring on the low.
I mean, he about to fall. He's off the radar.
He's a good communicator. They used him up for what they needed him for.
And he's gone.
And you're out of there. Go back to Ohio.
All right, go back to Ohio. Thinking he about to run. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, where can folks find you, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I'm on IG at The Life of KAY. You can find me anywhere. Kasaun Wilson, that's Kasaun, last name Wilson.
You on tour or anything, or about to be on tour?
Yeah, actually, June, this is exclusive because I haven't even put it out yet. I don't know when this comes out. But hello, my name is Kasaun. Tour starts June the 5th at the Stardome in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be in Alabama. We'll be in D.C., San Diego, Philly, New York, Portland, Maine, a whole bunch of other places. Going back to my hometown, Jersey City, New Jersey. We'll be in Columbus, Ohio. We'll be in a whole bunch of cities. We're adding more cities as we go. So you can check everything out. Find me everywhere at kasaunwilson.com. But we're starting this tour finally. I've been able and blessed to do some amazing things and tour with people like Wanda Sykes and Jon Stewart and like just go around the country and feature and do all those things. But it's time for, I think, people to get to know me in a different way. So we'll be doing it this summer and this fall.
Congratulations, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna get it. I'm not even gonna ask for free tickets unless they more than $35. Did that well. It's a recession coming.
Set your boundaries, Kay.
It's a recession on the way. But with that, make sure y'all follow and tune in to the podcast whenever this comes out, because I was going to say every week. It eventually will get weekly, but you know what I mean? A brother out here trying to make impact in the world.
You're doing it, man.
And sometimes, you know what I mean? That means the podcast don't have to come out every week. But it comes out. When it comes out, it comes out.
Talk right.
But exactly. You can follow Mr. Cameron Cavill, but actually really put all my followers behind Hip Politics on social. It's either hip_politics or just Hip Politics. We got new apparel dropping on hippolitics.com. There's a refresh coming to the website. We can't wait to drop the new newsletter and Substack that we have. We got some great new writers and people coming on. That's hippolitics.net. One day I'm gonna have enough money to buy all the websites and put them under one, so you could just go to one place. But until then, you go in a couple places. But it's all Hip Politics themed. Okay. With that, this has been another episode of the Hip Politics Podcast, and with that, we're out. Peace.